You pack your car the night before, wake up before sunrise, you pour your energy into your setup. Every display is styled, every jewelry piece tag is perfectly placed. And you spend the day smiling, chatting, hoping that this will be the market. But the hours pass and the sales just don't come. And by closing time, you've made just enough to cover your booth fee. Meanwhile, the vendor next to you selling mass-produced jewelry that looks way cheaper is walking away with hundreds. If you felt that pit in your stomach moment on the drive home, I want you to hear me clearly. It is not your designs, it's not your booth. It is your pricing strategy. And today we're going to fix that. Because here's the belief that traps so many jewelry designers at markets. It's a belief that if I price it lower, more people will buy. But that's not how value works. And at markets, cheap doesn't necessarily convert. Confidence and conviction does. And when your price feels too low for what you're offering, it just doesn't trigger excitement. It triggers doubt. Those thoughts of, is it real? Will it last? Why is it so cheap? So low pricing just doesn't build trust. It really breaks it. And trust is what actually sells. So if we look at why pricing is so hard, it's because it's emotional. You're pricing something you made with your hands, your time and your talent. And so when somebody walks away after looking at the price tag, feels personal. That sting makes you second guess your pricing and you start lowering prices, not because it's strategic, but because it feels safer. And suddenly your pricing isn't rooted in value, it's rooted in fear. And that fear is silently sabotaging your sales. And so I want us to break down the 5 pricing mistakes that are killing your market sales and how you can shift them. Mistake number 1 is pricing based on what you as a shopper, as a consumer would pay. This was me at my first 10 markets. I think to myself, I wouldn't pay $95 for this. And so I priced it at $45 and nothing really sold. Here's what I had to learn the hard way. You are not your ideal customer necessarily. Your ideal customer values artisan jewelry, handmade craftsmanship, and intentional design, and they expect to invest. So if you're pricing based on your own budget, you are blocking the people who are ready to buy, and they are also excited to buy. So mistake number 2 is using round numbers like $50, $100, $200. The problem with round numbers is that they're too clean, and they give people a reason to pause. And so when you price at 48 instead of 50 or 98 instead of 100, it just feels more thoughtful, more intentional, more considered. And those small shifts soften resistance and subtly increase conversion. It's called charm pricing and it works. Mistake number 3 is pricing every piece the exact same way. So if every necklace of yours is $75 and every ring is $33, your customer assumes they mass-produced, even if they're not, because there's no variation, there's no sense of which pieces are rare, extra detailed, or harder to make. So when pricing is flat, it flattens the perceived value. Intentional price differences really help customers intuitively understand the craftsmanship and the uniqueness behind each piece. Mistake number 4 is ignoring price anchoring. So if your highest price item is $60, that's the ceiling for what your customer believes your brand is worth. But if you include one premium piece at $250 or $300 next to your $65 designs, suddenly those feel really affordable and it changes the context. So that's price anchoring and it is incredibly effective. Even if your high-end piece doesn't sell, it makes everything else feel like a no-brainer. Mistake number 5 is lowering prices midday just to move product. This one feels logical, so I get it, but it hurts your brand. So when you are lowering your prices mid-market, it just signals to your customers that you weren't confident in your pricing to begin with. It makes your work feel negotiable, not valuable. And instead of dropping your price, I want to encourage you to shift your approach, your positioning, or your offer. But keep your pricing steady, because your belief in your value is part of what makes people buy. People can feel your conviction in what you are doing. And so this isn't about randomly raising prices. It is about strategic alignment between what you currently charge, how you present your work, and how your customer perceives value. So here's what we know works. Using charm pricing, like $48 instead of $50. Having price variety, so don't keep everything mid-range. Anchoring your price with a bold higher end piece. Pricing based on value, not on fear. And the fifth one is owning your prices, because confidence and conviction in what you're doing and what you're selling it for is contagious. So I want to walk you through a step-by-step game plan. Step 1 is reevaluate your price point. So take a long, hard look at your collection and ask yourself, do these numbers reflect the quality, intention, and story behind my work? And then I want you to create 3 different tiers. So tier 1 is going to be entry point at 25 to 45, for example, just to draw people in. These are your lower ticket pieces. Mid-range is 60 to 120, which are your best sellers. And then premium can be 150 to 300 or more for anchoring and showcasing your higher end designs. Step 2 is adding a hero piece to help price anchor. So you can choose one standout piece. It can be bold, high quality, priced well above your average. And even if it doesn't sell, it just reframes how customers view your entire collection. And so now your $65 or $85 necklace just feels like a really good deal. Step 3 is create visual cues for value. So you don't need fancy props, but your $95 piece does need some room to breathe. So give it space, lift it slightly, let it be seen, whether that's a clean stand or marble tile or simply separating it from the rest. Your display should respect the piece, because when your display respects the piece, your customer will too. Step 4 is practice your price confidence script. This is really important. So if someone asks, why is this one $85? You don't want to shrink back. You don't want to over explain. You don't want to try justify. You want to stand tall in confidence and say something grounded and clear, like, that is such a great question. So that piece was inspired by this experience that I had, and I hand make them with these different tools. It's made with this material, and here's why it's a bestseller, because so many customers resonate with this, or they love this about it. So we need to tell the story behind the piece and the details, and in doing so, we're not overselling, we're just standing in our value, and your customers will feel it. Step 5 is stop discounting at market. So if you want to move product, add value, don't cut price. So you can try something like saying, if you grab 2 rings today, I'll include a polishing cloth as a thank you. That way you are incentivizing the sale without compromising your worth, which is so important. And I just know how easy it is to second guess your prices, especially after a slower market day. But underpricing doesn't just hurt your sales, it slowly chips away at your confidence. And the truth is, confidence is what actually sells your work. People buy from designers who believe in their value. So if you've been pricing from a place of fear, let this be your invitation to shift, to lead your business like a creative CEO, to charge for the time, energy, and expertise that you bring to every piece, because your jewelry isn't just beautiful, it is valuable, and it's time that your prices reflected that. If this gave you clarity, don't stop here, because the biggest shifts come from stacking strategy one step at a time. So dive into the next video and let's keep building a jewelry business that's as profitable as it is powerful.